be brought in, and that percentage has to be up there to the 75% or whatever it is that they require, you know, for us to fight them.
Well, I know this is an issue that makes a lot of people passionate here at the local level. I frankly will have to, you know, study. It's a state level issue. I don't say that to punt on it, but you know, I'm running for this office, and one of my primary planks here is that we have to respect the prerogatives of the state. We have a 10th Amendment, so I would absolutely. I know you have some active state senators and state representatives down here. Have you made an effort to reach out to them?
Nobody seems to really want to touch it, you know.
Okay. Well, we're talking about the importance of elections, so I would advise them to at least lend you a receptive ear and listen to you. So that's the best I can do that without more information. I'm happy to maybe gather some of those facts afterward from you, just for my own benefit. I'd like to learn a little more, but yes, sir.
First of all, Todd, I'd like to thank you personally for just making a stand and deciding to get into this race.
It's an honor. It really is. It's an honor.
It sounds like you've got a pretty full life, and obviously
You should see my wife with the 4 kids underage.
you've got a lot of demands on your time. So anyway, appreciate that very much.
Thank
There's 2 other groups of people, people of the X generation and the Y generation, who are going to inherit a tremendous challenge that has been created over the last 40 or 50 years, basically because of poor stewardship on the part of the politicians that have been making these decisions that, quote, they have no choice but to make. Do you have a plan for reaching out to young voters in our district and, you know, appealing to them to get involved, but also to support the principles that the Tea Party represents?
Yes, I do. It's a very good question, because I think there's no more important time, certainly in my lifetime, I think maybe going back several lifetimes, in the life of our nation from the perspective of a young person. I live in Bloomington, Indiana, not a typical place. I'm a Bloomington conservative. Feast your eyes, please. That's right. It's a great place to live. College town. Local politics aren't exactly to my liking, but it's safe halfway between my parents and my in-laws. So there are a lot of good reasons for us to live there. But an hour from work, we work in Paoli. But living in Bloomington, you come across a lot of young people. If you consider college-age young people, and I do, unfortunately. I'm getting to the point here where it seems like a long time ago. But this is the first generation of college kids in some time that had some pretty dim prospects to look at. Life prospects, job prospects. They lack job security if they happen to have one. Lack income security. Certainly had very little retirement security. We already talked about that because of the policies in Washington. And the American dream is really at risk. That idea that you can work your way up in life from nothing and fall back down again maybe, and then dust your trousers off and give it another try. We always celebrate that. And I think that is really under threat. So I try and talk a lot about those issues. I mean, you can do outreach, you can have clever Facebook programs, you can do Twitter. We do all those things. But ultimately, you go to where the young people are, and you share a message with them that is a powerful message. And I think that's a powerful message. And polling supports that. If you look at public opinion polls, we find that the most pessimistic age demographic, so was recently, is actually young people. Weren't they supposed to be the starry-eyed, naive optimists in life? But they're not. They're the most pessimistic people right now. You know, America's always been about the idea that tomorrow is going to be better than today. And you're all here because because you believe it still can be. And that's why I'm here too. But I think really it comes down to message, sir. We are doing the other stuff. If you're interested in the campaign aspect of this, we have a Youth for Young movement. If you'd like to send us an email, you can do that, youth@toddyoungforcongress.com. We are on Facebook, very actively on Facebook. We're using Twitter and some of these other electronic platforms that I don't fully understand, as well as some of the younger people in my campaign. And we have young people involved in the campaign too, and I think that sends a really good message. This gent here may have seen Ellie the elephant. Have you seen him, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're even reaching out to the really young, and that's more of a fun thing, but I've got 4 young kids, and we have this 13-foot elephant, and
It's
some
cute.
of you have seen it in parades and at fairs. Ellie the elephant, she has her own email address too. She's a very advanced elephant. Ellie, is it Ellie the elephant? At ToddYoungForCongress.com. You can try both. And she has her own Facebook page too. So we're not neglecting the young, and I felt neglected. I mean, I've been involved in public policy or interested in it for some time, and I got the sense people weren't really speaking to me over the years, and I'm trying to change that. So this gentleman back here has had his hand up, and then I'll call on you, sir. Thank you very much for your patience.
A twofold question based off the Constitution. Our government was founded off of a small government, not large. Would you try to repeal and try to get some of these positions gone? I mean, some of these people, it's costing us money. As taxpayers, it's costing us money.
It's costing a lot of money. That's right. There are so many, and I've spent a couple of years in Washington, enough time not to lose my common sense. And it took me a few years to even contemplate going back, but there are so many people in Washington, you just can't figure out why they're there, what they're doing, why we're spending money on them. So here's what I propose. Much of our federal workforce, some of you have read this in the news, will be retiring. Disproportionate number, I forget the exact percentage, within the next several years. So I propose we do what corporate America tends to do. For every 2 people that retire from the federal workforce, let's try and replace them with 1 federal worker. And until we get to the pre-Obama level, all right? Let's just start there.
The second question I have is I find it funny that Americans can't get raises, but yet our Congress and our House and our senators all can vote themselves a raise every single year. Is there any way of knocking their pay down a little bit, called 5 figures instead of 6 when they start?
Sealing it?
There have been some creative ideas out there, and I'm open to entertaining some of these ideas. One is to tie congressional performance to pay. Like we do. Maybe, for example, you tie it to whether they can get the budget under control. I mean, there's some creative things we can do right here. So we have to do something. We have to do something to motivate our members of Congress to actually enact some common sense policies. So.
Send them all home. That's all I'm saying.
I happen to be a Challenger candidate, so I mean, that's yes, sir. I promise you.
Reading the history of Germany after World War I up until 1945, between media control and gun control, how do we deal with the possibility of Obama legislating through executive order?
Yeah. Didn't hear the question. Question was about concerns about media bias, about the Second Amendment, encroachments upon the Second Amendment rights, and
Also, like on Fox News today about the media, the journalists getting together to write against Jane Palin candidate.
right. I'll do my best with that, sir.